Hello students, in today's video we shall be learning how to checkmate our opponent in only two moves. We shall also be learning about the weak lines and diagonals at the beginning of a chess game and how to utilize these lines to win in chess. So let's begin the class. The first game is, well, it's a very funny game, interesting idea. White starts by advancing his g pawn 2 squares forward, and black decides to advance his e pawn 2 squares forward. White goes f3, and this is a big mistake. Can you tell me why? Yeah, these are the weak lines at the start of a game of chess, and black uses this diagonal to check white king, and immediately it's checkmate. The king can't go anywhere. The king can't come up because of queen's control over the diagonal, and this is a checkmate. So this is the quickest way to lose or win in chess. It's called fool's mate. White played like a fool. It's a foolish move. Which one? The move f3. Okay, had he played f4, even in that case, the result would be the same, checkmate. And had white played e6 instead of e5, even then the result would be the same. Because the question is not of how much you are advancing the pawn, it is white has weakened this diagonal, and that is why he gets punished. So now let's go through some other examples to see more variety of situations where we use this idea to checkmate our opponent. Okay, white starts with e4. This is another example. Black plays e5. White plays f4, offering black a pawn. Black captures this, and immediately black sees that this is an opportunity to check here. Well, by the way, if black checks directly, white can simply play g3 and nothing happens. So here he takes this first with the idea of checking, and in that case, if white defends, black can capture this pawn. We shall see this example later. But in this game, white first played knight f3, preventing the queen from coming here, and black advanced the g pawn g5. White played bishop c4. What's white's idea? White is eyeing the weakest square in the camp. Now you may recall f2, this square and these squares are the weakest square at the start of a game. So white played bishop c4, and black advanced his pawn, and it's a big mistake. Now white can once again win very quickly. Guess white's next move? Well, the moment black played this, advanced this pawn, immediately white realized this diagonal is weak. If only I could place it here, I can attack the king. But then, how can the queen go to h5? The knight blocks queen's diagonal, queen's route. So first white cleared the path of the queen by sacrificing his knight for a pawn. So knight captures g5, black takes the whole knight, and now white goes queen h5, check. Again, this diagonal which is the weakest. So whenever we say at the start of the game, which is the weakest diagonal? This one. A check along this diagonal, and the matter becomes very serious. Now the black king has to come up. Now the queen comes close to the king, check. The bishop is supporting the queen, so the king has to move up. And now, okay, yeah. Now in this position, white played queen d5 check, chasing the king again. The bishop supports the queen, the pawn supports the queen. The king has to move, this is the only square, and the queen comes to e5, check, and checkmate. So this is how white finishes the game. It all started with queen h5 check and this weak diagonal. So whenever the game starts, you have to be careful not to leave this diagonal weak, not to allow the opponent to check like this. And if your opponent allows you, you have to think of how to capitalize on the weak move. Now let's go to the next example. Here, this example is taken from a practical game. This was played in 1880, almost 150 years ago. And the player with black pieces is, his name is Gitz. Now let's see how black manages to win. White started with e4, black played e5, white went f4, and just like the previous game, black captured this. And unlike the previous game, white forgot to play knight f3. Instead, he played b3 with the idea of bringing out his bishop from this diagonal. So he played b3, and immediately black pounced on the opportunity. He played check. Again, this line, which is a weakness. And well, white could have moved his king. His position is not great. The king has moved and it will be subject to attack. But he should have played this move anyway. He played a weak move g3, which allowed black to capture the pawn. And when white played h3, well, perhaps white was afraid of this. White played f3, black advanced his pawn, and now the queen is checking the king. The king went up, the queen captured this pawn, check. The king had to come to f2 square, and now black played a very simple move, checkmating white in one move. And that is, he captured the rook, he promoted it to a knight. Well, this is the best move because when the knight checks, the king has no square to go. If the king goes here, the knight controls this square, and the rest of the squares are controlled by the black queen. So this very simple example, it's almost like a primitive game where white played lots of wrong moves. But even then, this showed us the danger along this diagonal. Okay, let's move to the next example. Here, the player with white pieces, his name is Damant, and the player who was playing with black pieces, his name is not known to us. And this example is taken from a game which was played in London in the year 1932. So here, white played e4 and black went c6. White played d4 and black played d5. White brought out his bishop, and black brought his knight to f6 square. White advanced his pawn and attacked the knight with the pawn. The knight retreated to d7, and now white played a very nice move. He advanced the pawn further, again attacking the knight and offering this pawn apparently for free. So white's e-pawn does not have any support, but still he advanced it. The moment black captured, white played queen h5, check. Again the same weakness. You see, this weakness arises from different type of opening moves, from different position, but suddenly you may have opportunity to pounce on this weakness. Now when black blocked the diagonal, this is the only move. Now white could have taken this with bishop, but he decides to capture the pawn with his queen, allowing black to capture a whole queen. But the fun is, after bishop g6, a lone bishop checkmates the king. Okay, white is a queen down, black is ahead of is a queen up. But ironically, if the queen was not here, the king could have escaped from d8. But thanks to black's extra queen, the king gets surrounded and it's checkmate. Okay, sometimes possessing more material is actually harmful for us, as in this example. Now this game is taken from, well, a game which was played in New York in 1896. Long ago, the player with white pieces, his name is Teed, and the black player with black, his name is Delmar. So let's see how the game starts. D4, black played F5. Already there is a small weakness. At this point, it's not apparent how white will utilize this, but black has to be careful. White played bishop g5, and now black advanced his pawns. The bishop went back. The pawn advanced further, chasing this bishop. Now black is threatening to capture the bishop. The bishop went back, and it seems the pawns have trapped the bishop. White has to give away this bishop for a pawn, which will give black a big advantage. But you know what? How white saved this game? He simply advanced his pawn, suddenly eyeing for this weakness. Now the queen is threatening to go to h5. For example, if black captures the bishop, white will play queen h5 check, and we have the same fool's mate idea, which means a checkmate along this diagonal. So black had to defend it. He advanced the pawn so that if now white takes this and plays check, black can actually capture the queen. The rook is supporting the h5 square. So this is how black saved himself. White played bishop d3. He wants to play bishop g6 check. The rook went here. Okay, rook went to h6 square, guarding the g6 square. If the bishop goes check, well, if the bishop goes to g6 with a check, black will capture the bishop. Now, how did white finish the game? He played a brilliant move, queen h5 check. Now, the idea is, of course, the king can't go anywhere, so black has to capture the queen, which allows the bishop to land on g6 without being captured by the rook. So the rook was displaced or deflected from defense, and white manages to checkmate the king. So this is how we can utilize the diagonal or the weak line, and we can use the idea of fool's mate and apply in different type of situations. Okay, so this is a last example which we are going to see. It was played by a famous Italian player. His name is Greco, and it's a historic game which was played in 1619, which means almost more than 400 years ago. Thanks to our recording system, the notations, we can still go through a game which were so antique. Now white played e4, black went b6, white played d4, bishop b7. Now black is attacking this pawn, and the famous Italian player 400 years ago, he went bishop d3. Black played f5, now attacking this pawn with pawn as well as bishop. Now white captured the f5 pawn, but that allowed this bishop to land on g2. Black captured the g2 pawn, and now he is attacking the rook, which is trapped in the corner. White played queen h5 check. Now this is a weakness which black forgot while attacking. And this is the only move, g6, after which white captured the pawn. Black counterattacked the queen first. Well, in this position, obviously, pawn cannot be taken on g6, because in that case, white will play queen g6, and we have already seen this is a checkmate. Well, that is why black played knight f6, attacking the queen instead, and white played g takes h7, pawn takes pawn, check. The king has nowhere to go, but the knight captures the queen. Has white blundered? Has white made a big mistake by allowing the knight to capture our queen? No, because the bishop lands on g6. It's check and checkmate. Now what happened is the previous move, by moving here, white has actually vacated this square for his bishop. And now white wins by checkmating. So this is how white wins using the weakened diagonal along h5 e8, or sometimes black wins by using this diagonal h4 e1. I hope in the opening stages you will be very careful about not allowing your opponent these type of checks, and if your opponent makes such mistakes, do not forget to punish him. Thank you.